Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. DB333, and welcome back to the campaign trail. It's been a very, very hot minute since we've been on this channel at all, I'll be honest. Let's see what was the last time. I haven't looked at my analytics in forever. Yeah, January. It's been about 2 months. It has felt like much longer, but it's only been 2 months since we were last here together. Last time we hopped in with 2016 four-way Redux for the second time. Just no particular reason. Just decided to replay as Donald Trump, and we did some efforts to make America great. Going on right now. It's been a while since I've sat down and recorded. Am I back permanently now? Probably not. But I did want to hop back in and show some love to, I'd probably say, the best new campaign trail mod. As it said, its likely final update, at least last major final update. Might have some patches coming up soon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Dubya. So-called President Bush has been put through the ringer in the 2 years since the Supreme Court and his brother Jeb stole the 2000 election. Long gone is the promise of the reformer with results. Instead of the typical honeymoon afforded to real presidents, Dubya has spent the last 2 years haunted by dismal approval ratings while trying and failing to ram an oxymoronic agenda based on compassionate conservatism through Congress. With conservatism in retreat and cynicism in the 90s still in vogue, it's looking like Junior won't be in office any longer than his pa. To have any hope of survival, George Bush must manage a minority government through endless scandals and domestic scares, as well as a mutiny among House Republicans to oust that Drake being individual Hastert. He must also contend with an international scene that still seems trapped in the 1990s, potentially see the blank canvas that is his foreign policy agenda to Secretary Rumsfeld and Veep Cheney. So, the W team is releasing a new mod, I believe on the 28th, Things That Never Were, starring old Bobby Kennedy. They have all this, by the way, which is cool. This is one of the reasons I want to hop back in, because it's actually very, very cool what they've added. This is sick. I didn't even realize this was a thing. But yeah, so let's go ahead, hop in. That's a new picture, I believe. Look at that. They even cite where they got the photo. Look at that. Behind the Texan warmth, George W. Bush's all-wounded ego, and once awed by and infuriated by a father he cannot beat. He did not conquer Yale like Pappy. His military experience did not make him a hero. His time in the oil industry did not make him rich. Instead of winning his own merits, W has been carried along by his father, his party, the Supreme Court. Still, he believes greater things are possible. He believes in the power of redemption and transformation, in the ability of any man to turn his life around. It just takes a little grit. He needs to believe this. He desperately needs to believe that his presidency was a mistake, that all these failures have been worth something. He cannot just be another rich Ivy Leaguer son carried along by the name and money and other people's successes. He will prove everyone wrong by showing that you don't need a thick resume or intellectual curiosity to win. He will impress his father, even if he needs to burn down the country or an Iraqi school to do it. And here he is, the man of the hour, old Richard Cheney. Cheney is Bush's opposite, gray, bald, and thick-set, with a blank face and a growling voice of easy authority. He abhors some stump speeches. The panache of the campaign trail fills him with disgust. When he imagines a good time, he does not think of churches and country clubs like his moronic superior. He thinks of his quiet, spacious office, where lives are made or ended. He has worked for too long to accept anything else. 4 years ago, Cheney accepted Bush's offer to serve as VP, with the understanding that he would have the authority to dictate America's journey through the post-Cold War landscape to set the agenda for a new American century. While he's had some successes, tearing up Clinton's agreed framework with North Korea, ending American deference for Europeans, aiding Taiwan, Dubya's scandals have made that work a slog. Unless things change soon, he may soon trade the power of Washington for that of Halliburton. Well, we're going to go ahead and set things to a bit of a harder difficulty. No particular reason. So let's go ahead. First, let's see how the map's looking right now. Not good. It's not good, let me tell you. I can also pop up the internets. So here we go. This is the White House. So Bush-Cheney has had no wins. We have piss-poor congressional relations. The administration has no credibility. And the country has no appetite for war. So these are all the possible challengers that we have. And as we proceed, we may or may not have some more pop up. So we have Al Gore, Hillary Clinton, old H-Dog, Paul Wellstone, John Edwards, Al Sharpton, and Joe Lyerman. Look at that. Well, here we go. Senate Republicans, still aching from November's elections, 2002 midterms where Democrats retook the House and held the Senate, have deposed Minority Leader Lott after he praised Senator Thurman's 1948 run. Instead, in his place to leave the 41 other senators is Bill Frist, an administration ally. You can't hide your disappointment, but this does give you an opportunity to distance yourself from the previous administrations. Well, we can't just go and ignore the folks that have kept the heart of conservatism bleeding through the Clinton years. A lot had to go, but that's all petty behind-the-scenes nonsense to the voters. We'll have to be stressing for conservatism that we won't be quitting all because the fundamentals were against us. This is a betrayal of your compromiser image, and if you listen to early polling, something you'll quickly be walking back on, unless you plan on bucking Rove and planning on a conservative crusade of your own. This kind of talk is going to sting before it gets any better. How are we doing now? We still have no credibility. Oh, shit. That's a little goofy. Oh, you can be on the TV. PlayStation 2. I need to get me one of those. Sorry. This year's State of the Union promises to be a tough one since the Democratic wave of 2002. Your agenda has been dead on the water. You have precious few achievements that you can call your own, and plenty of liberals on TV calling for you to abandon your compassionate conservatism ideals for more of the same Washington mumbo-jumbo. How are you approaching this year's address? Well, the Ann Richards wannabes think we're going to give up now. They got another thing coming. Get Turd Blossom to help us with a rip-roaring address about the right to life and faith and the successes we're seeing with No Child Left Behind. If the Dems don't like it, too bad. You deliver the usual bromides about faith and limited government. The Georgia Report's headline of Bush no surrender next day is almost good enough to make you forget McCain mouthing, "What the fuck was that?" to one of his Democrat friends as you leave the chamber. Almost good enough. Well, we're going to try to lead this is the good state of California. I think we can flip it this time around. Well, first it was Lott, now Hastard's up for the chopping block. It's relayed to you that Hastard has been accused of paying to keep folks hush about his pursuit of underage male pages. Early polling shows that half the country believes Hastard should be resigned, though luckily they aren't the ones in control of the Republican caucus. What's your say on the rumors? Well, oh dear, that's a tagline right now. Well, Denny's a good man. Can you believe what Democrats are doing to him right now? His reputation, I want as much as anyone come out swinging for him, but with all the other liberals scandalizing, I just can't afford to. And I just have to hope Denny has it in him to fight back on his own. The press misinterprets your silence as condemnation. After a few painful days, a tear for Hastert resigns. You watch the liberals on MSNBC talk about how you gave Republicans permission to drop Denny. The injustice eats you up. If it weren't for your agenda, you'd think you'd break Gephardt's nose. The Job and Growth Tax Relief Act, a combination of policies in line with supply-side doctrine, has been a major priority for you. While the bill has enjoyed overwhelming support among Republicans, Democrats have been uneasy due to studies projecting dramatic increases to deficit and household inequality. They're all just doubters. You must muse to yourself, but with liberals in control of the House, you need to win some skeptics to pass the bill. How do you want to close the bill? How are we doing? Well, we have no relations with Congress, but surely we can just, well, you bet I'm going to go out there and pull every relationship I have to get this thing passed. All 0 of them. Fuck. There we go. I'll be talking the ears off the Blue Dogs about bipartisanship now. They need to work with me if they want to keep their seats. This can really be a thing where we make the pie higher, get a win that benefits everyone. As the speaker gavels in, you pray to the Lord on high. He rewards you with silence. Only a few scattered Democrats cross the aisle. The bill fails. That evening on Fox, the phrase "black eye for Bush" appears floating beside Bill O'Reilly's head. You turn off the television before you can see any more. Well, listen, we'll just head back to California. We'll be all right. 2001, the Pentagon Inspector General notified Congress of a $2.3 trillion discrepancy in the department's budget. While the administration has explained that this is a result of poor record-keeping, House Democrats have wasted no opportunity in inflating this into a scandal, suggesting UN Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld cooked the books. He found the suggestion absurd, offensive even, but the continued investigations are dragging down your support. How do you quiet these nuts? Are we going to let Gepard ride us like a bull and brand us? Hell no. This whole investigation is a part of Democrat Party politicking, and these investigators can go to hell for all I care. Your non-cooperation does not stop a bruising report from being released, but it does make prime conservative voters to ignore the findings. Well, Dems are making something out of nothing, bemoans FoxNews.com. The whole thing is a sad attempt to turn Bush into a Republican Bill Clinton, and it's failing. In August 2001, you bucked the establishment by issuing a directive that prohibited federal grants from funding research involved in the creation or destruction of human embryonic stem cells. While in line with your pro-life views, the decision has been criticized by many Republicans and Democrats who view the ban as limiting medical advances. Today, that opposition has come to a head. Over your objections, the Senate has passed a major medical research bill that would mandate grant money be dispersed for embryonic stem cell research. Yeah. It now goes to the House, where it seems certain to pass by a veto-proof majority. How do you preserve your principles? Well, there's a disagreement among the rank and file, but I know the House leaders are with me in thinking this is infanticide. Plain and simple. Let's get a strategy meeting with our folks on the Hill and see if we can't whip this bill below a 2/3 majority. Dick Armey. Back up. Replacing Astor is behind you completely. He whispers conspiratorially about infanticide in an industry of death, backing the bill. But his passion goes unheard amid the chaos racking your conference. Since his predecessor's removal, leaders have had little control over their members. The bill passes over your veto. Well, listen, I know California. They gotta be my side. In 2000, you made overhauling Social Security extend its solvency a major campaign pledge, vowing to lead a bipartisan effort to give individuals the opportunity to invest part of their payroll taxes. However, your efforts have stalled. Republicans are leery of touching an issue that could terrify retirees and sensitive into voting D. Democrats, meanwhile, have their own proposals to encourage younger, low-income workers to invest more to extend the program's solvency. Do you try to salvage your package? Oh, we have negative credibility, Jesus. Well, you bet I'm gonna. Fixing Social Security's part of my mandate. It's why I got elected. If Dems don't want to get on board with free market reform before the train leaves the station, then I guess they'll just have to catch the next one. Well, that's what I'm saying. Anyways. Democrats deploy the word privatization, unleashing an avalanche of opposition. Republicans in vulnerable seats are overwhelmed with calls and letters demanding that they oppose your package. The bill dies ignobly in both the House and Senate, a humiliating blow to your image as a problem solver. Well, Although long forgotten by policymakers after the Soviet retreat in 1989, Afghanistan is once again a source of international tension and a sudden distraction from your domestic agenda. The CIA-backed Northern Alliance insurgents have gained a momentum against the Taliban regime, creating refugee crises in Pakistan. Meanwhile, the terrorist group Al-Qaeda has gained a foothold in Xinjiang. All of this has greatly alarmed Russia and China, who refuse to intervene unilaterally but are seeking ways to deal with the rising threat. How will you handle it? Well, this thing isn't hard. Just get Brother George to start pumping more stuff over those rebels, the Northern Allegiance fellas. We did this in the 80s. Just do it again. Just keep it overt. No boots on the ground. It went so well last time, after all. The blowback from Tenet's program will be felt for years. The Northern Alliance leader, Ahmad Massoud, is assassinated. Infuriated Russia wrecks for oil experts, and the ABM treaty appears dead. Well, listen, California, y'all gotta love me, right? Well, at least we have a little appetite for war. The U.S. Supreme Court in a 5-4 decision has struck down a Texas ban on sexual relations between same-sex adults. The decision is the opposite of a narrow, cautious ruling that most expected, paving the way to challenge of the military's ban on open sexuality, as well as state and federal restrictions on the ability of homosexuals to pursue child care and employment. Naturally, religious right is outraged, and we're looking to you for guidance in these frightening times. What do you say to reassure them? Well, people know my position. I believe that marriage is a sacred bond that only exists between one man and one woman, and that same-sex relations are sinful by nature. Still, we live in a constitutional system. We gotta accommodate the court and accept their rulings. I promise American families to be their advocate, even as I uphold the law. It's not obvious, but the astute members of the press detect a shift. The president is no longer talking about upholding family values, but conceding to the court. Has Dick Cheney been whispering in Bush's ear? They ask. Whatever the cause, allies like Jerry Falwell warn of the coming collapse, facilitated by moral cowardice. Well, see, they love that in California. Well, we all know California is not like the gays, of course. We still got the same figures. Looks like we don't have Dino Man in the running, though. Still no. We got positive credibility again, at least. So, hey. You're approached by Dick with startling information. According to the Iraqi National Congress exile group, Saddam has obtained a series of aluminum tubes for the purpose of enriching uranium. CIA satellites, meanwhile, have picked up trailer-like facilities that some analysts believe could be mobile units intended to produce biological weapons. If proven, these stories suggest that Iraq has not abandoned its quest for WMDs, but has been secretly accelerating it. This information needs to be acted upon now, Cheney argues. How do you look for your response? Well, it don't surprise me one bit, not after all the terrorizing Saddam's been doing. I have to be out front making the case against him, laying out all the stops. I'll do an address in the Oval. I'll send folks out to the Sunday shows. I'll talk to our friends and allies about we need to stop Saddam before there's a mushroom crowd over New York or Tel Aviv. The drums of war thunder from the White House. It serves as a signal to mobilize a vast conservative media network to their viewers in support of preemptive war. It also serves to mobilize an array of liberal groups against your warnings. A poll from Gallup finds a majority of liberal voters skeptical of U.S. intel and opposed to war with Iraq. Well, we still have some desire for war. Well, after an avalanche of news, you finally have something to celebrate. Californians successfully recalled their scandal-ridden Democrat governor and replaced him with an actor-turned-Republican politician, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Given that many Americans currently associate the Republican Party with stodgy old men like Dick, Arnold could be just the thing it needs to reinvent itself. How using the Governator in the coming months? Well, Arnie's a lot like me, and that he's the kind of guy you want to have a beer with. Let's not complicate this too much with poll-tested bullshit. Just invite him to D.C. and let the press see us having a good time. The press is clearly delighted by the two of you walking around D.C. like a couple of tourists, but it's not enough to make people forget your deteriorating credibility. SNL broadcasts a cruel skit in which several Democratic predators hunt down and eliminate the members of your administration. You try not to show how much it hurts you. At your administration's urging, the UN Security Council passed a resolution offering Saddam's Iraq a final opportunity to comply with disarmament obligations and submit to weapons inspection. Although Iraq allowed inspectors to visit some sites, its officials are evasive on the larger question about its full capabilities. Both Cheney and Powell consider this a material breach of its obligations, believe the U.S. is within its rights to respond. We look for your direction on the next steps. Well, when in the world has the United Nations ever amounted to anything? No. What matters is showing American resolve. Let's do rallies across America to show the whole country with us in this crusade against terror. Large, enthusiastic crowds greet you in Columbus, Westchester, and Orlando. They hang on off your every word, uncritically absorbing the Commander-in-Chief's warning of Saddam's attack on freedom. Reflecting on later, the New York Times editorial board describes the spectacle as Wilsonian. Well, you know what? I think we need to visit those liberals in Massachusetts. Today, a Senate committee released its report investigating Enron's collapse, detailing the firm's histories of risk accounting, conflict of interest, and deceptive practices. The report also details many ties between the company and your administration, describing calls between your advisors and Enron executives to limit the blowback from the collapse. The new details on top of your close relationship with the company's former CEO resurface old questions. How will you address this? Well, if you bump into a Democrat, you might ask him a simple question. What's your plan to protect this country? Instead of giving you an answer, they smear the other guy. That's all the support is. It's a phony smear attack written by liberals to drag conservatives to their level. So much for compassionate conservatism. The fire response thrills the Republican Party base and pisses off everyone else. Baucus subpoenas Karl Rove to explain his regular calls with Lay, an excruciating hearing that lasts several hours. Well, it's a moment of truth. Cheney's people have been shepherded through Congress by an expansive authorization for the use of military force against the government of Saddam Hussein. Committee hearings have spawned disruptions from activists along with growing protests in major cities. Liberals like Paul Wellstone have promised to oppose the bill, while senators like Clinton and Lieberman have been unusually quiet, still deciding which way to fall. Everyone is now waiting for your signal. Do you push Congress to greenlight an invasion of Iraq, or do you pull back? Well, I got no time for second thoughts. Push the bill. Ride or die. The House resoundingly defeats Resolution 239 to 193. You feel the sting of humiliation in every camera flash as you strut across the White House lawn. It takes all your efforts to stop hot, angry tears from streaming down your face. Dick won't return your calls in the aftermath. Wolowitz and Fleischer resign. They love peace over in New York, don't they? Right? Oh no. Oh no, there he is. Given in to a wildly popular online draft campaign, the visionary CEO, Steve Jobs, excites liberals and independents alike with his problem-solver mindset in the wake of your bitterly partisan administration. A combination of bad press, weariness from scandals in administration, and yearning reserved for the private sector has led to VP Cheney confiding in you that he will not seek the office of VP again in the Republican National Convention this year. Your advisors in cabinet, believing that relations with Congress are on the ropes, advise you to tap Bill Frist for the role. You're inclined to agree. What do you have to say about it? Well, I've worked with Vice President Cheney for nigh on 4 years now. I've never known a man to exude so much integrity, and I'm proud to call him my partner. He's given so much to this nation. He deserves to enjoy his retirement with his family. He'll always have my gratitude, my friendship, and my prayers. The excellent judgment he's displayed in the office of Vice President has been used to vet his successor, and he can retire happily knowing that America will be in safe hands. So I'm proud to announce that Bill Frist, a man of great integrity and sound judgment and experience, is my choice to be the next Vice President of the United States. The media circus around Cheney's retirement has overshadowed Frist's selection and much more than you like, although Frist himself assures you that dealing with Congress will be smooth sailing from here on out. Right. Well, it's not looking too great for us right now. 405 to 133. When the chattering class aren't mocking you, they speculate endlessly about your adversary for the upcoming election. Already, various Democrats have launched campaigns. Unfortunately, earlier polling suggests that almost every candidate still in contention will be a formidable opponent, partly due to party divisions in the Republican Party. When in the Oval Office, you and Roe will try to brainstorm ways you might unite the party and save your re-election campaign. Well, conservatives want a president who got things done instead of accepting business as usual. By working with Congress, I've achieved small government policies that have led to the betterment of all folks. There's no escaping the constant feeling of Washington dysfunction, even among the party's true believers. By highlighting Congress, you succeed in making party intellectuals despair at the impossibility of passing any meaningful reforms, of restoring common sense to D.C. The Reagan Revolution, once so shiny and full of promise, appears dead. Well, surely you don't think that in Rhode Island, right? It seems you've had enough. You can't just sit on the sidelines while activists take to the streets to champion the erosion of the sacred institution of marriage. Massachusetts was the first to go, and while there's no political threat to it nationwide just yet, with conservatism on the ropes, how should this topic be addressed? Well, there can be no compromise when it comes to protecting our families. If an amendment is what it takes, then we push and we vote, and we pray that we can push that amendment through the Congress. After all, I'm sure we can whip the states into passing it. This didn't pass. The powerful chair of the House Judiciary Committee, John Conyers, whipped enough support during the submission hearings to turn into a humiliation show for the administration. Leaves conservatives across the country praying for blood and donating to your campaign. Oh, God. Oh, God. Here he comes. The next morning, they will say that the noise of a crowd registered on the seismographs. Clad in a signature black turtleneck and striding onto the stage at the Democratic National Convention is none other than Steve Jobs, the CEO turned messiah whose grassroots campaign shredded through the primary field in a matter of weeks. Standing next to Robert Rubin, his running mate, and barely suppressing a sneer, Mogul crowns himself America's savior while promising to wrest control from the bozos and get this country moving again. The story, contrasting his record of success with the administration's failures, writes itself. How will you even begin to respond? Well, for all the times Jobs had spent hopping around in San Francisco, he's made a lot of enemies along the way. I'm sure the people out there who have had to deal with the real Steve want to have to be asked twice before opening their pockets and saying some words of support for me. This is quite possibly the best bit of advisor feedback ever written for the new campaign trail, so I want you all to brace yourself for this. The following press conference of Jobs' jilted ex-business partners gives Democratic campaign a visual they could have only dreamed of. Calling in to Larry King, Jobs calls your new supporters a cabal of fucking losers who worship mediocrity and don't understand sex. The donation portal on his campaign website crashes within the hour. Oh dear God. Oh no. Oh hell. So we can still catch up in New York, why not? You're standing backstage on the RNC at the RNC in Madison Square Garden, feeding off the energy of several thousand close supporters. You can only get a few thousand supporters in the whole country, I guess. On the television, you hear the call for the keynote speaker. Who would you try to get to speak on your behalf this year? Well, Zell Miller, the new senator in Kentucky, is whip smart and fantastic at pointing out liberal hypocrisies. I asked him to talk about how far the party's fallen since the days of Kennedy and all the way it's become out of touch with the average American. You called Zell Miller, but he declined the offer, citing a sudden illness. Instead, the man who trots on stage as John McCain delivers a bland address about the importance of party unity without mentioning your name once. Your face feels hot as he walks off the stage past you without any acknowledgement. Yikes. Jobs does not see this as a campaign. He sees this as one long Steve note. His campaign events have turned into listening sessions, hearing the concerns of the people directly. Of course, his issues are invented, the world is at peace, and the economy hums along fine, yet Jobs still threatens to bring his kind of managerial competence to the forefront of every inconvenience in the lives of every American. Clearly, his fix-it pitch resonates. What problems can you invent and solve for America? Well, nobody today knows more about problems than families, but Jobby doesn't want to hear them out. His idea of bringing the world into the 21st century isn't about a newfangled economy making government efficient. It's about defiling the sanctity of marriage and spitting on families. Jobs says that this is only more proof that you're a leader of the 17th century. A stupid medieval monkey who can't even be trusted to peel banana. The evangelical base, however, clings onto every word as he turns the skinny, squeak-voiced turtleneck into the embodiment of all their fears. Well, let's visit California, see if we can clutch it out. Election day is fast approaching. Liberals in Congress are exploiting your exhausted political capital to try to secure a win for themselves with America's Climate Security Act. Written by Senators Joe Lieberman and John Warner, the bill would impose a national cap-and-trade scheme for greenhouse gas emissions. While some think it doesn't go far enough, the bill has gained a surprising amount of support across both sides of the aisle. Turd Blossom's warning that you need to kill this bill, that its passage could be disastrous for support within the petroleum and natural gas industry. How do you respond? Well, have these folks forgotten who the president is here? I've got a pen and I got a desk. I'm ready to veto anything that comes my way. You know what I'm saying? No surrender. The veto's expected as of the backlash. The media roasts you for seeking a bipartisan effort, one that would end Washington gridlock. But you don't care about that. As a talking heads scream on MSNBC, you are in a bow tie at a fundraiser hosted by the American Petroleum Institute. Lobbyists toast to your name as they drink champagne. And we're just losing in the Dakotas right now. Just casually, you know. At least they want some more. Liberals in the media love to harp on a handful of topics. You think to yourself as you laugh with a press pull in the back of your plane, but your administration has been one of the busiest in history. They've had so many successes that it's hard at times to count them all. Aside from a few big-ticket items, what issues do you make a focus this campaign season? Well, as a man once said, it's the economy, stupid. My administration has provided historic tax relief to homeowners and small businesses. The number of women and minority owner businesses has grown at twice the rate of others. Highlighting your work cutting taxes and regulations give the Chamber of Commerce something to cheer. Roughly 21% of all home loans are now categorized as subprime. Sure nothing bad will happen there. Hey, California, how about you give Bush another shot? Campaigning is exhausting. Every day, a new city, you and Laura to be happy and full of life. To your immense relief, Arnie in California has offered to lighten the load by organizing a rally on your behalf. He wants to know where he should go to act as your surrogate. Well, Arnie's a good Republican, and even better, he's one that people trust. Can't we get him talking about me and Reagan and stuff like that? Red meat for the conservative base. Arnie is playing the role of the comedian of the star. He smiles as he stands before the teleprompter, perfectly reading off the line, "Don't be economically, man." His smile, the sureness of his expression, sends a chill down your spine. As Democrats have made it very clear over the past few weeks, America has never seen a candidate like Steve Jobs before. If elected, he would be the first president in American history without any prior political or military experience, the fact of which could be leveraged to make his candidacy seem even more risk than his campaign would like. With your campaign in need of every possible change, what spikes will he try to place under the treads of the Jobs machine? Well, being the decider is about servicing, and that's something Jobs doesn't know a thing about. He says he cares about you, but he's still sitting on his perch at Apple while he's running. Is he going to fly between San Fran and D.C. if he wins? Since the start of his campaign, liberals simply assumed that Jobs would put his assets in blind trust following his victory. Responding to you, the candidate himself blows a hole in that by declaring he'll decide his own conflicts of interest on a case-by-case basis. Parties stand behind him, but independents are left unnerved. Not unnerved enough, evidently. The skinny surfers of Silicon Valley are ecstatic to see one of their own in the White House. Jobs has cut through the usual Democratic coalition of trial lawyers and union halls to bring millions of dollars in fundraising from this cabal of tech wizards. You know, they can't all fall in line. There must be some bug in the crew's coding. Who could it be? Well, does Bill Gates really want to back up the jobs campaign? Does he really think having an Apple in the White House and the antitrust division would be good for business? Give him an opportunity to be the cowboy here. Let him take jobs down. Your ominous warnings of antitrust action do nothing to move Gates out of his own party. He continues to cut checks for Democrats and speaking out against your policies. Frustrated Robe suggests that when you win a second term, cutting PEPFAR funds might be a good avenue for saving costs. Oh, that's cute. He thinks we're going to win. You go to Crawford to escape the chaos, only for it to follow you home. Outside your ranch is a collection of protesters, spiky-haired men, and women holding signs that allude to your relationship with Hastert, involvement in Enron, and countless other sins. One woman brandishes a sign that reads, "We hate you," beneath a smiling face. Its sight makes you wince, but Turd Blossom believes these radicals could be an opportunity to throw the Democrats off balance. Look, these kind of people, they don't have our interests at heart. 3 decades ago, they'd be right up there with Hanoi Fonda on that gun-hating our troops. I ask all patriotic Americans to counter these left nut jobs by showing their support for their country. Jesus, that's a brutal picture right there. Limbaugh and a few new conservative pundits are thrilled by the opportunity to throw new slurs at Jane Fonda, but for anyone under the age of 40, this talk is incoherent. America today is enjoying an unprecedented period of peace and prosperity. No one believes that a protest against you is an attack on America's defense, let alone its troops. Listen, let's travel Silicon Valley, guys, once again. Well, he thinks he has it on lock. With the election days away, Jobs has been absent for the trail for nearing 3 weeks. Rumors stir in the media that he's planning a messianic comeback to the trail where he'll tear your White House a new one on keynote. But you know what's really going on? That cocky son of a bitch thinks he's better than you. He thinks he's above meeting with voters. So he's leaving you to slave away with the plebeians. While he lives at large in some Palo Alto suite. He thinks he can break you, but you're just getting started. They're gonna say not to hit a man while he's down, but Turd Blossom's saying we are the ones down. Whatever we got, we're sending it out. It's probably hiding it because he's drugged up all the time, cheating on his wife, stealing from some 4 eyes. Complaints flood Palo Alto that their people have been left adrift at sea, as their surrogates chew out their Democratic counterparts on Meet the Press. Having nothing but weak old talking points to fall back on may make the trip back to their home states to buoy themselves. Well, there's a worse one I know that I wish I remembered which one it was. Not that it's gonna matter. It's your final week on the road. You meet all kinds of people, scared mothers, self-described centrists, evangelical conspirers. You are whatever people want you to be. Some stops, you're a good old boy, laying down your drawl thick. Other stops, you ape a pseudo-intellectual comment on Sunday shows. One final push, Turd Flower says, "Where are you?" Well, you turned from a blossom to a flower. How beautiful. Poppy always used to scold me for taking chances, but where's better to take a chance than in Jersey City? Or is this Pennsylvania? It could be Maryland. I don't care. I'm here for chamber luncheons. Something tells me someone tell all these reporters that if I lose, they'll all be out of a job. A luncheon with the local chamber of commerce reveals hundreds of car salesmen eager to shake your hand. The men here are, almost without exception, rich, white, and doughy, the backbone of the Republican Party. Well, here we go. Only lost Virginia, that's rough, but we'll catch up. Vermont, I wasn't expecting to lose. DC, yeah. We all expected these. Ohio, okay, that sucks to lose. Indiana and Georgia, we shouldn't be losing those. West Virginia, definitely not, but whatever. Who cares? See, we got Kentucky by 1 point. But you know what? That's just how it is, you know? And we've already lost. We lost Missouri. We lost Tennessee. We lost Arizona. That's not good. But you know what? We're still in this. Arkansas. We lost Mississippi and Louisiana. But hey, we got Texas still. We lost Montana. But you know, who cares about Montana? Or South Dakota, you know? Whatever. We're okay. $92 to $446. Well, something had broken, ruptured. George was sure he was dying inside the small makeshift green room in the Reagan building in downtown D.C. It was the only thing that explained his inability to move, his inability to act. He sat on a chair before an illuminated vanity, doubled over as if in pain, ignoring both the muted television and the feed of the building's increasingly dismal election night party. Talking heads mouthed silently over pictures of cheering crowds in New York and Chicago. A map of the country displayed an ever-expanding Democratic wave penetrating into the heart of what had once been Bush country. George racked his brain to figure out where the night had gone wrong. He remembered meeting with Condi at the White House and her frowning when he expressed his hope that they called his victory early. Remembered sitting back in the back of his limousine with Rove as Rove grimaced at the exit poll numbers. Remembered Laura and his girls talking in exaggerated terms about the successes he had already done, about the good he'd done since he came to Washington. He'd willed himself to ignore the implications of the interactions. He had told himself he'd prove them wrong. There was an ache in his chest. He drew his body in closer. Advisors entered and left his green room, attempting to nudge him without broaching the topic directly. What did he think about calling his opponent? Card hinted, an hour after the full extent of calamity became clear. Maybe he could talk with his running mate about how to talk sense to the increasingly sparse and heartbreaking crowds at his party. Offered Fletcher. Did he want to talk to Roger at Fox and maybe work out some plan for the next few days? Nothing moved him. All his certainty, his swagger, his confidence had vanished. It was hollow and used up. Sir? Bush did not move from his near fetal position. Sir, it's Blake Gottsman. George listened as his bagman shifted his weight uncomfortably in the doorway. I don't want to bother you while you, your father's on the phone. He demanded to talk with you. The ache spread cancer-like. He wanted more than anything to vanish, but instead he unfolded his body and a desperate look at his assistant. Poppy is... Blake deposited a black device in George's hand. He stared at the weight and then blank. Ew. You need to take it off hold, Mr. President. George wiped his face with his sleeves and cleared his throat. Then he took the call off hold and spoke in the most normal voice he could manage. Hi, Poppy. George. The voice on the other end of the receiver rumbled like an approaching storm. What do you think you're doing? George was silent. He stood up from his chair. Blake, sensing danger, retreated into the hallway. I'm watching the returns, Poppy. Our people, they don't think. He trailed off, expecting his father to interrupt, but the old man was silent. Somehow, that was worse. There's still votes to count. I don't want to do anything I'm going to regret after 2000. Pathetic. Poppy's voice was sharp and loud, a clap of thunder. Bullshit. Poppy, please. You think no one's noticed you You sitting there, crying your eyes out. You in there going, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, poor me. George was aware that he was breathing heavily and gripping the phone so hard that his knuckles had started to crack. The results are bad enough, but do you know how humiliating your belly aching is? For the party? For your mother? For Jeb? But in 92, that was Perot. I could have killed Clinton without him. I won a landslide in 88. George felt as if there was a fire burning under his skin. His head felt warm. He was sure at any moment he would self-immolate. Papi, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what. It's all coming apart, Papi. It's all coming apart. It's all coming apart, and I don't know what to do. They're gonna destroy everything. You were given so many chances, Junior. You were given so many chances. At Princeton, at Harvard, in Texas. There are people who would kill for everything you got, all the opportunities. And you fucked it. If I had known this was how you turn out, I never would have let you get this far. Get out there and concede, or you won't like what happens next. I promise you. Daddy, grow up. There was a loud click. The line went dead. George stood in silence looking at the phone. In his mind, he saw himself crying. He saw himself shattering the phone against the wall. He saw himself calling back and screaming into his father's ear. Instead, he opened the phone and carefully, and dialed his opponent. He put on his best mask of confidence as he answered. As he laughed and joked in his fake cowboy confidence, George tried not to imagine what the future would hold. New era of government transparency is something to celebrate, not mock. By Glenn Greenwald of Salon.com, published September 1st, 2007 at 10:19 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. 4 years ago, this very website published a column entitled Cowardly Rumsfeld Avoids Scrutiny on Overcharging Scheme. We bravely took on the president's opacity, saying that his administration needed to be open about where the missing trillions had gone instead of bucking Congress at every turn. It was a proud moment. It makes me proud to write for it today. It is shameful that we are not continuing this spirit now. Last night's presentation by Secretary of Health and Human Services was an incredible display of transparency unseen by any federal official, perhaps in U.S. history. The Secretary's willingness to be open and honest with the American people already proves the job administration's outclassed his predecessor in every regard. And the scorn that he's received for this new kind of government, Steve Note, or perhaps Bobby Note, is incredibly disparaging. Secretary Kennedy gave us an unparalleled insight and look to the job administration's handling of the current avian flu crisis. But instead of focusing on how he plans to organize a mass culling sick chickens, presidential contender and ex-governor of Massachusetts Mitt Romney says, I mean, come on, a turtleneck? The American people are looking to you for leadership, and you put on a turtleneck? In business, they say it's respectful to wear a suit. Why can't you show respect to the American people in politics? Not exactly substantive debate on the issue, but he's not alone in acting like this. Senator McCain is known for his decency, supposedly, but when he questioned about the Secretary's planned investigation of vaccine safety, something the Democrats and Republicans have ignored for too long, he simply said, I mean, he's really... It was tough to listen to. That's all I'll say. That was not easy to listen to. Mocking his voice when faced with an opportunity for open debate does not make a good president. Mainstream media should be far more forceful in condemning this attitude, but they haven't been. The New York Times today ran an article calling the speech an embarrassing disaster. The Wall Street Journal merely called it a target of mockery. The only real issue they engaged with the Secretary on was his explanation of recent layoffs at Walter Reed. Both ignored the Secretary's explanation of simple downsizing and continued to echo what are, frankly, baseless conspiracy theories that the President's frequent visits are anything more than just research trips on how to make American healthcare more efficient. The Secretary's downsizing is just another aspect of that initiative, going off disgruntled fired doctors who speculate they've argued with him. Overtreatment is just plain bad journalism. As journalists, our truth is to expose, not score political points by mocking the president. This level of transparency the administration is showing is good for us, and it's good for the country. Nobody is accompanying anything through petty little attacks. Every news writer remembers how difficult the days of Bush were for anyone wanting to search for the truth. Why would he want to go back to those? Table Talk. The President's Crusader representative Chris Murphy talks his agenda. Vice President Rubin says it's absolutely safe to invest. 2 years since the Steve note on Hurricane Katrina. Lost my water out there. I need to take a sip. Oh, there it is. I'm going to find some way to make that the thumbnail. Free George W. Bush school walkout. Where? Steve Jobs Junior High, Palo Alto, California. When? September 11, 2013. Why? To protest the illegal extraordinary rendition of former President George Bush of the Netherlands, where he will stand trial before an unelected kangaroo court, accused of war crimes allegedly committed in Iraq during December 2004. We need to make our voices heard and show the corrupt Walton administration that the arrest of our parents' favorite president will not go quietly. Update. After several emotional meetings between our Bush League, nearly at the Turning Point USA, and Babies First Democratic Socialists of America, we've decided to cancel our planned walkout. This decision was not made lightly. We strongly reject claims that former President Bush committed war crimes when he bombed civilian infrastructure in the days of rage during his lame duck session. It's abundantly clear that despite far-left propaganda insisting he had blown a fuse or that there was an internal coup, President Bush was protecting our national security by taking out a water treatment plant in a children's hospital in Baghdad. NTP USA understands and respects this and respects our concerns, but communicating clearly that it would be unwise for fellow Republicans to protest the Walton administration so soon, given the wide mandate she received last fall against Gates. At this perilous moment, confronting a fiscal cliff and upheaval in Russia, all agree it's best to take a step back and breathe. While we loudly oppose the Walton campaign's pariah strategy, we recognize that treating our 43rd president as a criminal polls well in this climate, with 83% supporting his deportation. We must also note, however, that this number declined to 49% when respondents were told former President Bush was being tried for crimes committed against Iraqis. This issue is more nuanced than it seems. Well, look at that. I've lost Texas before when I was doing my test campaign in Oklahoma. A lot of these closer states. So, Dubya got off pretty easy here. Closest states: Kentucky, Alaska, 4,000 votes in Alaska, 6,000 votes in South Dakota, about 22,000 in Oklahoma, South Carolina about just under 30K. Well, this is the new historical results. We outperformed the historical results, so credit where credit's due. I think it's getting Jesse Ventura that really fucked us somehow. I don't know how exactly we got it, but what are you gonna do? And I think that's actually a link to the Bible, right? Yep. King James Version. Look at that. Well, he's going to need that to try to get himself out of hell for what he did to those poor Iraqis. Anyway, I'm going to go and leave things there, my friends, but thank you all for watching. If you like, if not, feel free to dislike. I don't know when I'm coming back fully. But, it'll come someday, maybe. Possibly, yeah, we'll see. I will check out Things That Never Were eventually. So if you're looking forward to that, don't worry. I'll be back for that. And then from there, who knows when I'll come back. That's supposed to be 10 days from now. That's going to be a Friday. Goddamn, I'm working on Friday. But, we'll see how I'm doing the day after. I'm going to go ahead and leave things there, my friends. Thanks always for watching. Like if you like, dislike if you didn't. Leave comments or feedback down in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I appreciate any feedback that for me. Check out my various links down in the description box below. Hit the sub on notification bell so I upload weekdays and occasionally Saturdays. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave things there. Shout out to the W team / the Things That Never War team. Excellent mod, probably one of my favorites. Maybe the favorite, I don't know. But thanks for watching, my friends. My name has been Mr. DB333, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye now.